Why is this earthworm so big? Miles discovered a tiny pink earthworm in his house. He secretly adopted it and started feeding it his dad's protein powder every single day. In just a few months, the worm grew up to be as thick as a fire extinguisher. Miles named him Duke. On Saturday, Miles snapped a dog leash onto Duke and took him for a stroll around the mall. People screamed and ran for their lives at the sight of this giant. But Duke wasn't dangerous at all, he just cruised around, happily vacuuming up spilled French fries from the floor until it was completely spotless. When Monday rolled around, Miles stuffed Duke into a massive hockey bag and dragged him to school. As he unzipped the bag in the middle of the crowded cafeteria, all of his friends' jaws dropped. They were absolutely shocked by the size of the giant earthworm. One terrified kid panicked and threw a lunch plate right at him. But Duke simply leaped into the air, caught the plate in his mouth, and gently handed it back. Just like that, he became an instant superstar. The giant earthworm wasn't the scary monster adults thought he was. He was actually the coolest best friend in the squad. Why does everyone have an egghead? Tyler was rushing into school, but the moment he pushed open the classroom door, he froze in shock. Everyone in the room had a giant chicken egg for a head. Even the teacher at the front of the class had an egghead while writing on the chalkboard. Trembling, Tyler cautiously tiptoed to his desk. Suddenly, the egghead of the kid sitting next to him started to crack. Tyler quickly grabbed his backpack to shield his face, ready to run for his life. But then, the eggshell shattered all over the floor. It revealed the glue-covered grinning face of his best friend, who proudly held up the egg-shaped papier-mâché mask he had just broken out of. It turned out to be a bizarre art class project that Tyler had missed because he was late. Tyler let out a huge sigh of relief and slumped into his chair, right as the egg-headed teacher walked over and handed him a balloon and a bowl of sticky paste to make his own mask. Stop running, and it explodes. Sam and Ben sprinted for their lives out of the neighborhood parking lot. Both were dripping with sweat, their eyes glued to the red numbers counting down on their smartwatches. The rule was strict. They had to keep their moving speed above a certain limit. If they stopped to rest or even slowed down, the bomb would trigger immediately. The two best friends leaped over a neighbor's garden hose, slid to dodge the mail carrier, and dashed through the playground like a scene straight out of an action movie. Sam was panting so hard his face turned pale, but Ben quickly grabbed his friend's collar, dragging him to keep going because there were only 2 minutes left on the clock. They both dived onto Sam's front lawn just as the timer hit exactly 00. The screen flashed the message, "Mission accomplished." There were no flames or destruction of any kind. It was just two elementary school kids lying there gasping for air, but grinning widely with pride after successfully surviving the hit fitness game. Help! An army of worms invades the school. After a heavy rainstorm pounded all night, the courtyard and lawn were completely covered with tens of thousands of fat, wriggling earthworms. Fleeing their flooded underground homes, they had surfaced and were slowly crawling toward the cafeteria like an invading army. The principal strictly forbade everyone from playing outside, making the lunch break incredibly boring. That was when Oliver remembered the science project on ecosystems he had just submitted. He sneaked a bag of birdseed out of his locker, carefully cracked open a ground floor classroom window, and scattered the seeds in a wide arc across the edge of the field. Just a few minutes later, hundreds of robins and sparrows swooped down following the trail of seeds, before discovering the real treasure, an all-you-can-eat buffet of plump worms. The flock of birds worked together to gobble up the invaders quickly and efficiently. By the time the dismissal bell rang, the lawn was spotless. There was no trace of the worm army, and it was safe enough for everyone to run around and play comfortably once again. Oh no, the school alarm is blaring. On a super boring Friday afternoon, Surf and Riley were sitting in science class. Suddenly, the emergency alarm went off. Everyone quickly ducked under their desks just like they practiced, thinking it was an earthquake. But after waiting for a while, the ground didn't shake even a little bit. When the teacher led the students outside to the grassy field, the sight made all the kids' jaws drop. Hit that subscribe button to cheer the kids on. Right in the middle of the playground sandbox was a chubby sea lion from the beach just 3 blocks away. It was lying on its back, happily sunbathing. It must have gotten bored of the crowded rocks on the shore and sneaked under the fence to find a softer bed. Surf grabbed a tuna sandwich from his lunchbox and tossed it over. The sea lion lifted its head, caught it perfectly in its mouth, and munched on it with pure joy. In the end, No one had to go back to class that afternoon. The entire school just sat in a circle, cheering on the rescue workers who had to use a bucket of fresh fish to lure this lazy, chubby guest into the truck so they could take it back to the ocean.